Please welcome l'équipe Team Quebec.
I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean to it. Do it better than anybody you ever seen. Do it. Screams from the haters, got a nice ring to it. I guess every superhero need his theme music. No one man should have all that power. The clock's ticking, I just count the hours. Stop tripping, I'm tripping off.
And now, their opponent for today's game, leur adversaire pour le match d'aujourd'hui, l'équipe Team Alberta.
All right, hello and welcome to the 2025 Women's U18 Championship game. Alberta coming on to the fields following Team Quebec. Myself, Cole Fortner, alongside me, Dave Standish. And it's a lot better of a day for football than it was here on Saturday, Dave. How are you doing?
Yeah, definitely. I'm doing great. Hello, everybody, and welcome. We've got Alberta in white and Quebec in light blue.
Alberta in their proper uniforms today.
Yeah,
after having to wear the Arctic Pride jerseys on Sunday night against Ontario.
Yeah, so there will be about half a dozen numbers that will be different from last game and different from the stats from last game, but everything will be logical and makes sense.
And we can confirm that via the last game, the second game of the day, that the winner of this game, no matter what happens, will be playing against Team Ontario on Saturday at 4 o'clock Mountain Standard Time in the gold medal game.
Yeah, and Alberta is definitely going to want a chance to get some revenge on the game that they played against Ontario on Sunday, but we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes.
As we get set for the national anthem, we're going to do our land acknowledgement first. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we are playing on the original territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region of South Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot First Nation tribes of Siksika, Piikani, and the Gaina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nation tribes of Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney, along with the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. And following that, we're going to do O Canada.
Pour l'interprétation de notre hymne national.
Now will you please rise if you're able, move your hats and caps for the singing of our national anthem.
You're breaking up.
I swear that Orchestra Under the Stands gets better and better every time they play that song.
I think you say that every time they play that song too, Dave.
They just keep getting better and better.
So they're calling upon the captains upon each team to do today's coin toss. Once again, Alberta is wearing the white. Quebec is wearing the lighter blue color. Both of these teams got here, and Dave will explain how they did so.
Well, Alberta, by virtue of winning last year, got to play in Game 3 on Sunday, and unfortunately came up a little short, 21-10 against Team Ontario. Quebec got a win 54-0 over Team Indigenous, a hard-working team, but they basically dominated every statistical category as well as the scoreboard. So this is sort of, well, it's Game 3 of Round 2, basically. All 6 teams will see action on Sunday. Earlier today, Manitoba beat Indigenous 20-0, and Ontario just defeated Saskatchewan 43-26 in a very entertaining contest, and 43-27 actually. And so now we've got two teams at 1-1. We've got Indigenous at 0-2, Ontario 2-0, Quebec with the win, Alberta with the loss, and like we were saying, Cole, Alberta will definitely want to get through Quebec if they can, to get revenge on Ontario on their home field on Sunday, if that is the case. But like you said, the winner of this game advances, and I'm looking forward to it very much. Ontario has had 2 big wins. I'm sure all their coaches and few of their players are sticking around to watch.
Well, it's also going to be interesting to see what happens here in this game first, because it's hard to tell how good Quebec is, because as we've seen, like, Team Indigenous has not put up a point so far in both of their 2 games, and Quebec absolutely ran away in that first game on Sunday morning. So it's kind of hard to actually really gauge where they are. And then Alberta had a pretty chippy game against Ontario on a nightcap on Sunday. So it's going to be interesting to see how these 2 teams play out and line up against each other. And we're in for a good one, I think. Yeah,
Quebec had 353 yards in total offense, including 270 on the ground, although needing just 16 touchdowns to score 54 points. Let's keep an eye out for Alexandria Boulanger, 9 runs for 52 yards and a touchdown. And Frederic Goyette, one of their leading quarterbacks, 4 for 8 on Sunday with 49 yards and a touchdown. Maika Hoy, number 8, 84 yards on the ground and 2 TDs. So those are some players to look forward to in Quebec, since they're getting the ball first.
And of course, Alberta will be beginning this game, kicking off to Quebec. Alberta's defending the north end zone, or our broadcast left. Quebec in those light blues, defending the south end zone, or our broadcast right. And the ball is away. Alberta kicking off to Quebec to start us off. Deep kick. Trouble fielding it was number 12, Nora Rondeau. She now has it, avoiding 1, avoiding 2. Getting to the kicker and eventually brought down. Olivia Trudeau on the kick and the tackle for Team Alberta.
And the kicker has to be available for anything and everything on a play like that when it's just 6v6. I think they redid the blue lines since Sunday as well. Of course, we have had some precipitation in the last 72 hours, but yeah, terrific tackle by the punter.
I believe they did the yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, it definitely needed it after 3 games of action on Sunday.
As Quebec snapping the ball, quarterback running around in the backfield, that's Hélène Donald. She tries to throw it and gets hit as she throws. The referees in the backfield call that one an incomplete. Alberta parting, thinking they had the fumble recovery, but it'll be 2nd and 10 for Quebec.
Well, we're seeing a flag on the graphic. I don't see any on the field, but terrific work by Gabrielle Gratton from Bonnyville.
Well, we know the system works.
Yes, exactly, to attack, and she had nowhere to go. Elena Dallaire gets the start, as you said.
And Dallaire waiting for the snap one more time. A little bit of motion in the Quebec backfield. Now there's a flag down. Dallaire throwing deep, wide open receiver. That is caught by number 17, Donan Odege. She takes that one up the far sideline. No one nearby. She takes it to the house. However, I don't know if that's going to stand due to the flag back near the line of scrimmage.
Well, she was completely open, but I guess we'll find out shortly why that was the case. All the Alberta players to the near side, leaving her completely open, nobody within 20 yards.
And it will be going back. Looking at the signal from the referee, it's a false start called against Quebec.
Well, let's take another look at it.
A little bit of movement on the line.
Yeah, a diagonal pattern being run. And again, she got 3 or 4 steps ahead, Odege, because of that false start.
Procedure no end, pardon me, for the penalty call. I can see who's on the field there too. Fancy graphics, not used to those, Dave.
Now maybe in December, we'll have to wait and see.
Of course, we'd like to thank our referees for today's game. They do support a lot of levels of football, from minor leagues all the way up to the CFL. And we'll see who those are in our next stoppage. As Dallaire, waiting for the next snap, takes it, hands it off. Working towards the near side is Emily Allard, and she's brought down near the line of scrimmage by Brielle McDonald-Roche, a member of the Calgary Wildcats.
Yeah, at this stage, you just want to make sure that they don't get a first down. If you get giving up 0 yards or negative yards on defense is never the ultimate goal. It's just a bonus because you just want to prevent first downs more than anything else. Terrific snap and a good handoff. Quick little move, but angling it away and taking it away was Brielle McDonald.
And Quebec back to punt. Taking the snap and firing that one downfield was their punter, number 22, Oceana Allard. Scooped up there by number 8, Lacey Muth. She takes out at the far sideline and wrapped up by a few Quebec defenders. Alberta will have possession in Quebec's half of the field.
Yeah, Lacey, 2 runs for 7 yards from the West Edmonton Raiders. She's got a couple of teammates on this club as well. And we've seen so many in the last couple of days, Cole, of players maybe underestimating the kick and having to turn back to pick it up and then turn around and then hope that there's no one ready there to smack them. But that's what the 5-yard rule is all about, for no yards.
So Olivia Trudeau back in the backfield for Team Alberta.
Yeah, Olivia, 24 yards passing, 34 yards rushing on Sunday.
She leads the Airdrie Raiders in the backfield. Trying to lead her team now. She scrambles towards the near side, breaks off one tackle and is brought down by a second Quebec defender. I believe that's number 80, Eloise Vaillot, making that wrap up, and it's going to be close to the first down or to the original line of scrimmage, but lost about half a yard.
And Trudeau didn't have very far to go or much time to get there. A quick attack from the linebacker, Allard, who's also their kicker. Well, good vision downfield for her.
Olivia Trudeau back in the backfields. Once again, calling shots, lined up in shotgun formation. We have early whistles from the officials.
Yeah, no gain, no loss on that last play. So
We're going to go for the next 26 minutes only. That closes.
I think we have an equipment issue from one of the Quebec players. That's number 12, Nora Rondeau. That's missing something.
Yeah, when it came to penalties, this is not one, but when it came to penalties, Alberta had 7 for 70 against Ontario. The only real negative for Quebec, 8 for 75 against Team Indigenous. So both teams will have taken the last 72 hours to clean that stuff up.
And out there for Team Alberta, and Quebec's into the backfields. Tessa Muddle wrapped up. The ball did pop loose, however the officials ruled Muddle down. So it'll be 3rd and long.
Yeah, turning the corner in a 6v6 game is a little bit different than turning the corner in a 12v12 because you don't have as much blocking down front, especially to angle somebody off. You have to really rely on your offensive line to be able to make that play. And very well done for VO to at least get a tackle for a loss. About an 8-yard loss, actually.
Now, Trudeau back in the punt formation for Team Alberta. Multi-use player bobbles the snap and fires that one low downfield. It bounces. It'll be scooped to about the 40-yard line. There's Rondeau back, and she takes it towards the near sideline, hunted down by Trudeau once again. And Trudeau wraps her up on the near sideline, tackling her out of bounds. First down for Quebec coming up.
And then the advantage to a 6v6 versus 12v12 is that if you can get past one player, you got a good chance to make a significant play downfield like she just did there right now on Nora Rondeau. And well done to her.
You're really reliant on what your teammates are able to do in front of you, and if they miss a block, you're in trouble. But if everyone gets their assignments and does what they're supposed to do, you're gone a lot of the time.
And there's about 17 or 18 players on each roster, so rotation will be key today.
It's Quebec under center. There's the snap, and it's Anne-Frédérique Royette. Scrambling towards the near side, she found a hole and she takes off. Wrapped in by a pair of Alberta defenders. Along the way was Alexis Pearson. And it's a first down for Quebec.
The advantage for Alberta was that they had double coverage on Odige on the far side. As you can see her getting ready for a pattern, but that left 2 players, 7 and 3, McFall and McDonald, both on the outside looking in. which led to a rushing play on the opposite side of the field.
And then nobody had contained on the backside, and there's a snap for Quebec and a low throw from Hélène Dallaire, falling incomplete.
Alberta and Ontario were tied 0-0 after the first quarter on Sunday, and Alberta got the first touchdown and then only had a safety afterwards as Ontario made some fantastic halftime adjustments. And so far scoreless in the first 5 minutes today as well.
The game's been a little bit more even today. That Saskatchewan-Ontario game was pretty tight at halftime. Saskatchewan was actually up, and then Ontario came back in the third and the fourth quarter. There's a throw there from Dallaire, scrambling towards the far side, and it overshoots her receiver. And the target was Odege one more time, and it falls incomplete.
And again, Penno and McFall both double teaming on Odege. 2 catches for 34 yards on Sunday and a touchdown. So they're paying extra attention to her. Game film and being here in person on Sunday, you'd have to think is a big reason why they're containing her as well as they are.
Odege, a member of the Blitz de Montréal, back in Montreal. Lots of clubs and schools being represented here at this tournament over the week,
which is really terrific.
I'm sure that they're on third down.
I'm sure the competition within Quebec and Alberta is really entertaining.
It's definitely building in Alberta. I can't really speak as much for Quebec as that ball bounces out around the 10-yard line. But it's definitely growing. I think Southern Alberta's trying to catch up to the North a bit. North still has the edge. They've won the last 2 provincial finals, our first 2 as well.
FootballAlberta.ab.ca. Tim Anger, the executive director, I've known him for about 15 years. He told me he was going to retire 7 years ago, and then I keep seeing him at all these events. It's always nice to see Tim.
There's Olivia Trudeau back in the backfield again for Team Alberta. Shotgun formation, 2 up to the left. Takes the snap and follows one of her teammates toward that far sideline, scrambling and finally wrapped up and tackled out of bounds by 2 Quebec players. But she does have the first down.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is watch what your opponents do against your defense, because you can try to duplicate it yourself. And that was a good example of it. Terrific blocking in front. That was definitely a well-orchestrated play. Give credit to Dorothy Trudeau, number 12, the center from Springbrook. Terrific blocking upfield, about 3 yards in advance.
There was a white wall in front of the quarterback as she scrambled towards that far side. She's back in shotgun again, motion out of the backfields. Team move towards the right. A long snap that was close to potentially being a penalty flag, but no call there from the officials, and the quarterback scrambles towards the near side, getting close to the first down marker. I'll have to wait and see where that spot is.
And then again, Litzenberger, I think she did a terrific job on the block, maybe a little afraid to get a holding call, and that meant that Trudeau had to gain a few extra millimeters on her own. So about second and inches at this point. But again, the linemen doing a great job of blocking slowly and surely down the field for Team Alberta.
And I can speak from the girls' league side of things. You know, during the regular season, Litzenberger is definitely one of those players where you can rely on, as she is the intended target on that one. She's usually one of those players where you can rely on her if you need a play to happen. Unfortunately, in that instance, the Quebec defender got her hand on the ball and denied the passing attempt.
Yeah, Yurgo anticipated that Litzenberger was just going to go to her spot and stay there, so she was able to get a hand in front. Alberta didn't have any interceptions before or against versus Ontario. Quebec did have 1 interception, Camille Forrest, number 3, so keep an eye out for her.
3rd and inches for Alberta to go under center. Trudeau snaps it. She finds her way through and picks up about 5. She only needed a couple inches, so definitely a first down for Team Alberta with that one.
Yeah, 2nd and inches became 3rd and inches, and that's not an uncommon play to see a passing play during a 2nd and inches type of scenario, because worst case you're 3rd and inches and just have to run a play like that.
The worst case, I think it's a pick 6, but the worst case you can hope for is
if you execute it to a reasonable level, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, triple reverse interception. Yeah, that's the worst case scenario. I agree.
Hand off there to number 5, Tessa Model. She takes that one up the far side. A bit of help blocking. Hunted down by number 9, Emmy Christensen. Yeah, what a crowd. The home crowd loving that one. That's a big first down for Team Alberta.
And that's something they definitely need to build some momentum on. Again, only a safety from the defense in the entire second half of the game yesterday. So they will have watched the film, hopefully on mute, and learned some lessons. And that's a huge play. And again, the snapping is a lot better today as well from both teams.
That was definitely something that Alberta was struggling against Ontario, was getting those long, consistent plays that they just had from Muddle, and Muddle takes towards the near sideline this time. So it's going to be, Alberta will probably be hoping to continue that more in this game.
Yeah, Trudeau fakes to the right and then fakes to the left. I think if they call the play and she hangs on to it eventually later on in the game, that could work out in their favor as well.
Well, we saw that in which game was it? We saw it was Ontario that did it against Alberta on Sunday, where it was they ran with Lopez, the running back, like 17 times consecutively, and then
Potter, wasn't it?
Yeah, Potter. Sorry,
yeah.
They ran it with Potter like 17 times consecutively, and then eventually they did a QB keeper, and everyone bid on the running back taking it. Sometimes coaches do that on purpose. As the flags fly early there, I think there's a procedure against Team Alberta's Trudeau finally brought down by Team Quebec.
Sometimes the strategy and the chess game is half the fun.
And it is stopped by Emily Rancourt. However, there are flags on the field. Infraction sur le jeu.
So our officials for today: head referee Jesse Suganetz, umpire Bailey Grab-Mueller, down judge Nikki Winderman, line judge Alexa Diab, field judge Laura McKenzie. The support crew are Shane Moore, Tim Smith, Tony Norman, and Cordell Murphy. Finally got to the referees. It's been that good of a game.
That's true, yeah. I was at a baseball event here last weekend, and they... As the umpire showed up to start the procedure, the music person decided to play the Imperial March.
Oh boy.
And the umpires got quite a charge out of that.
So I'm a little nicer. I go with the Law and Order theme song.
I like that. I like that too, yeah.
Because, I mean, they are the law and the order.
Of course. I love it.
As Olivia Trudeau lining up in the backfield once again in the shotgun formation. Two to her right, move towards the left. Looking for a deep pass downfield. Receiver open and potentially a little bit of arm involved there, and the pass falls incomplete. Tight coverage from Emily Hawk-Hall.
Yeah, Rancourt will get another look at it in just a second.
Incomplete, which will bring us to third down.
Saint Germain de Gratham, her second time here. And we have a list of the players who have been here 2 and 3 times, and just the rookies, which is a great idea to get us, so we can get a sense of what they know and how this works. Yeah, you got to be super careful not to get too close.
And a punt away on third down will bounce towards the near sideline. Kept in bounds barely by number 12, Nora Rondeau, and she takes that one towards the far side. Breaks off the tackle of Muddle initially, and Muddle stays with her, and eventually brings her down at about the 35.
And that's not a bad angle to go at either, because you either beat the one man like we were talking about a few minutes ago, or you make a significant run as a worst case like this. And you make sure not to fumble it, and she was not going to get the ball knocked out of her arm.
Of course, we'd like to thank Tourism Calgary for their support in this year's tournament, including a special surprise that will follow the championship game. Dave, if you know Calgary, I think you can guess what the special surprise is.
Yeah.
But we're doing no spoilers right now.
Of course, yeah.
You'll see on Sunday.
Yes, we will.
Or Saturday. Saturday is the championship game.
Saturday, yeah.
I know what day it is. Quebec under center. Goyette's under some pressure and brought down in the backfield. It's Erica Kampula with the QB sack.
And she never gave up. That was tremendous from number 50, Gabrielle Graton, and 97, Erica Kampula, as you said, from Cold Lake, St. Lena. And she ended up taking 2 players down with her at the same time, the running back and the QB. We'll have some stats for you at halftime. Yeah, not very often a D lineman takes 2 offensive players down, and you can see the celebration afterwards. 2nd and 15.
Oh, very big play for the D lineman.
Yeah, they're coming up with the big offensive plays and the big defensive plays they were unable to do against Ontario.
Quebec under center one more time. Goyette calling for the ball. Dropping back into the backfield under pressure again. Scrambling, hit it before she throws. That ball still loose in the Quebec backfield. And Quebec does jump on it. It will be 3rd down. It is Alexandre Bélanger jumping on that loose ball.
Again, Kampula and Pearson doing all the right things on the D line as you see some rotation. We see some more now for 3rd down. But yeah, just the D linemen are having no trouble right now with Bélanger, who's having to sub in as an O lineman instead of a running back because they aren't able to throw or hand it off to her. That's how good the defense is.
Those rural Alberta girls really came out to play here this evening. As a line drive punt, beautifully fielded by Lacey Muth, but she's unable to return it as she hits the ground instantly. It's going to be 1st down for Team Alberta at the Quebec 49.
Yeah, some pretty much perfect weather. It was about 21-22 when we kicked off. Not a lot of wind. It's coming right to left. And of course, knowing Calgary, it was left to right during the previous game. Of course, that's just how it goes.
I'd like to thank the Make-A-Diff Sports Foundation for their support in growing women's sports at the grassroots level, innovating and developing programs across the province since 2013. Quite a bit of change in the backfield for Team Alberta. That's Owena Bradford taking that one towards the near sideline, still scrambling, and brought down towards the near sideline. I believe it's number 81, Charlie Couture, on the tackle.
Yeah, number 2, Owena Bradford, 2 for 7 with 9 yards passing. But her running game certainly where she wants it to be, and they seem to be going edge to edge. There isn't really any pushing up the middle, but who knows what the next play is going to be about.
Bradford again lining up in the shotgun, 2 to her right, motion through the backfields. High snap sailing over the head of Bradford. She picks it up under a lot of pressure now, and she's going to be sacked. A pair of Quebec defenders chasing her down. 3rd and long coming up.
Alexia Lacasse from Quebec City among the tacklers.
A loss.
And sometimes when you're so confident because you've fixed the issue with it rolling on the snaps, you get a little bit too confident, especially on the shotgun formation.
And that'll do it for the first quarter. It is scoreless after one between Alberta and Quebec. And pardon me, there's going to be 2nd and long for Team Alberta. We'd like to take this time to thank Lynn Fletcher Weddings and Oculus Private Wealth for their financial support and event management, making this year's tournament shine like never before. And we'd also like to give a shout out to Hilberg and Burke and NFL Canada for their support in providing special gifts for all of our tournament award winners.
2nd and a long bunch here as the teams have switched ends. We're going to play 12 more minutes. We'll get stats at halftime for you from our terrific crew downstairs.
So, Dave, since the players last played on Sunday, they went to Callaway Park.
Nice.
Apparently, I was told that Quebec was the most hype team that was there. They had the most fun, apparently.
Terrific.
Apparently, a lot of the players went home with a lot of stuffed animals that they've won at the carnival games.
Fantastic.
As Bradford throws that one downfield, open receiver. That is caught by number 5, Tessa Muddle, and she's brought down. The ball did come loose at the end of the play. And it's going to be 3rd down. Nope. Waiting for confirmation on if she was down before or not. Head official says 3rd down. One of the refs did point towards Quebec favor, but it's going to be 3rd down.
3rd and about 6.
And it is completed.
She watched that replay. Good catch from Muddle, instantly wrapped up. It was actually stripped as she was tackled. I could see that one going either way. The referees did say she was down.
If this was the NFL, there'd be a flag thrown and a 20-minute replay.
You're not wrong on that.
Or a challenge.
Muddle giving the handoff that time. She takes up the near sideline, getting some help on the block here. And she's tackled out of bounds inside the 15. It's a 1st down for Team Alberta.
You just get on that blue line or about a stride to the right and you just go. That's all you have to do is just look straight and wait for them to tackle you. We see that in the 12v12 game all the time, and even more because, again, the angles become so much more difficult to take a player down with, and there's fewer players to do it.
One thing I've noticed, not as much in this because we have those blue painted lines on the field, but like doing the regular league play, we don't have those extra lines. So having that sideline where it's marked not, with the thicker white line like you would see in the 12-on-12, you can get away with bouncing out a little bit more than you normally would be able to when you're playing that 12-on-12 with that thicker white strip on the sidelines.
Oh, do they have cones as the boundary, or?
We do, but again, they're only marked on the. You can only put so many cones down.
Of course.
Is there to make sure
as that pass falls incomplete, it's going to be second and goal for Team Alberta.
Yeah, scoreless between them and Ontario in the first quarter on Sunday, and scoreless again today. So we'll see how that fares for the next 36 minutes or so.
Bradford in the shotgun, takes the snap, books it to the left, and stretching at the goal post, and it's a touchdown for Alberta.
Again, using those edges. It didn't have to be a play where it was straight ahead and then a 90-degree right turn. It's those angles, and it's just getting out and getting fast and accelerating when it means the most.
Brandon Bradford, a member of the Central Alberta Fire, playing in the South Alberta Female Football League. It's her first year in the tournament. Just stretching beautifully to get into the end zone to give the white and blue the early lead. And the extra points is good, so it's 8-0 for Alberta.
And the blocking on the last two plays have both been terrific. So that's the first points against Quebec in this particular event. But a 54-8 is a pretty good ratio.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
No. But they want to be in the last game. They want to be in that gold medal game on Sunday, and that's all that matters. Saturday.
You're listening to me too much, apparently.
Apparently.
I don't know my dates, apparently. But I will note, today's been a lot less stressful than Sunday. Sunday was stress.
Well, hey, if I show up on Sunday and everyone's gone, it'll be, oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, we'll be here on Saturday for the championship.
Of course,
the last 3 games.
Earlier times on Saturday. It's 10 o'clock for the morning game, 10 Mountain, followed by 1 o'clock Mountain and 4 o'clock Mountain for the final. And on the kickoff return, finding a hole is Nora Rondeau as she's hauled down by number 8, Lacey Muth, at the 45.
Yeah, running back on offense, but a tackler on special teams. So, again, these teams both have about 20 players, but there won't be too many offensive specialists in this particular event.
And of course, stay tuned to our social media and the Tournament League Football Canada webpage as Quebec takes that one toward the far side of the field and brought down out of bounds for the tournament schedule on Saturday, because we cannot confirm who is playing when at this point. The only game we can confirm is the winner of this one will be playing Ontario at 4 o'clock Mountain Standard Time on Saturday. Or is it Mountain Daylight Time? Mountain Time.
Daylight time.
That timeout is called.
And I mean, Quebec needs to do what they did to get the 270 rushing yards they had on Sunday. Yeah, maybe the level of competition has stepped up a little bit compared to Team Indigenous, but they need to run the plays that got them all the yardage before, and they may not get 270 today, but exploit what you did properly, and eventually over the third and the fourth quarter it'll pay off.
Make sure you go get yours.
Or at least they hope it will.
And of course, timeout was called, I believe, for Quebec.
I'd like to give a shout out to Hilberg and Burke for and NFL Canada.
Dave, you want to do our last sponsor read for the half?
Sure. We'd like to
Our tournament award winners.
take this time to acknowledge the government of Alberta for their generous financial contributions for the U18 national tournament and their continued support for minor football in our province.
Also, for those of you watching in Alberta, don't forget to purchase your 50/50 tickets. You can find those on a raffle box. Just look in the Alberta section, find the U18 SAFL Game 2 And the draw will close at 7:30, with the actual draw itself happening at 8. Quebec lining up in the shotgun. There's Anne-Frédéric Goyette in the backfields. Scrambling towards the near side. Pardon me, that is not Goyette. That is Hélène Dollard. Her throw towards the near sideline is caught by Louise Veillot.
Lacasse with the catch on the near side. Gain of about 4.5 for third down. But yeah, basically everyone except the center is eligible to receive the ball.
Usually when you say everybody but the center, it's usually because it's a funny penalty call in the NFL where it's false start everybody but the center, but not quite the way it works here. So Quebec doing some personnel changes. This is 3rd and 5. Oh, I guess 5.5 if we really want to get technical with it. Snap and the punt off the side of the kicker's foot. Brielle McDonald-Robchan waits for that one, takes it towards the near sideline. And she's brought down by number 8, Micaiah Hoyi. First down for Team Alberta coming up.
Well, I remember giving so many compliments to the Ontario kickers on Sunday, and that could make a huge difference between Ontario and the winner of this game if this trend continues. But with these two teams on the kicking away side of the sport, I mean that's 20 to 30 yards per punt.
On the punt battle, that difference in kicking yardage is very crucial for a lot of these teams. It's an underestimated statistic, but it is very, very valued by coaches who know what they're doing. Field position is very crucial, especially if you can rely on your defense for a stop. And a good run there for number 9, Abby Vu, towards the far side. She gets close to the first down mark, and it might be a first down for Team Alberta.
And watch the block from Alyssa Graham on this sweep right, because again, it's never going to be. It should never be straight up 90-degree left turn, because we've seen how that can create issues. But watch this block for 21. Graham, she's got her eyes downfield and just blasts away on Rancor number 10, giving her teammate a couple of extra seconds.
As Bradford takes the snap, scrambles towards her right, fires the field instantly into some Quebec defenders. Nowhere to go. It'll bring up second down and 9.
And with forward momentum, was able to get a yard and a half, about almost 2 yards.
Again, a great battle. Dorothy Trudeau doing all the right things, but she couldn't hold the defender forever.
But it's 2 back-to-back plays, Dave, where you see the first one where the Alberta got the blocks and they were able to excel down the field or thrive down the field. And that one, they missed their blocks. Quebec's into the backfield and the run goes nowhere.
Well, and that's just shows you how good Ontario was on Sunday with running Potter 10, 11, 12 times in a row.
As Bradford looks downfield on the pass in between both of her receivers. As Abby Vu and Alyssa Graham in the area, but finds neither of them.
Abby Vu by Owen Bradford. Incomplete.
And that's the difficult part, is even when you can have the vision downfield to see that your receiver's in trouble, you know that an incomplete pass is better than a sack, so you just kind of have to throw it anyway, hoping that they can adjust at the last second.
And Bradford back in the shotgun again, 2 to her right.
In the CFL, that's thrown out of bounds almost immediately.
Takes a snap, handing it off to one of her teammates. I believe that's number 9, Abby Vu, and Abby Vu's brought down by, again, a couple of the Quebec defenders. When they get there, and they get there in numbers.
Abby had a 65-yard run on Sunday against Ontario. And then the interesting thing was that her other 2 runs were negative yardage, so she ended up with 61 total yards, but a long of 65. So I had to go ask the stats guys. I said, "Is that right?" And then they said, "Yeah, that's exactly right." She had 2 negatives and a 65. So
our stats crew
doing a fantastic job. You'd think it was a CFL game, how good it is.
Well, he does. I was going to say, he does do CIS games, so he's very knowledgeable in a trick play there for Quebec, looking downfield on the pass. Tight coverage from Alberta, and that falls incomplete.
O'Dees has been kind of snake bit today. 2 catches and 3 runs on Sunday for a total of 50 yards and 70 yards, and a touchdown. And she's been pretty unlucky here in the first half of this game.
A nice toss for Quebec, and Alain Dollard unable to find Ledege on the near sideline.
Thought she was grabbed her arm was grabbed. The referees disagreed.
I guess that's the one advantage about putting a quarterback in at receivers. You can do trick plays like that a little easier. Is Goyette now throwing downfield, hit as she throws, unable to find Ledege one more time. And like you've been saying, Odege's been snake bit so far in this game, unable to really get any targets fully where she can catch them.
And Alberta had a couple of roughing the passer penalties on Sunday as well. They've seemed to have cleaned that up as well. As you'll see, the blindside legal tackle, just a quick push from Isabel McFall. So it's amazing how every team can play better in game 2 than in game 1.
Another snap there for Quebec, and they punt that one away on 3rd down.
That's terrific. That's a really good punt.
Fielded by number 8, Lacey Muth, and she takes it towards the near sideline. A little bit of a hair pull there, and finally brought down Odeja on the tackle. First down for Alberta again in Quebec's half of the field. And like we've been seeing a lot, for a lot of this game, Alberta's starting in the positive side of the field, whereas Quebec's kind of defending their own half a lot more.
Yeah, a little shake and bake there for Muth to try to work her way through, and that gained her about 3 or 4 extra yards. And again, Odege, out there to play defensive special teams as well. So expect to see almost everybody on the roster in the game, but again, you're not just going to play offense and then go to the bench and then watch the rest of the game.
We're mixing things up before the snap. As Olivia Trudeau back in the backfield.
Oh boy.
Complete pass to the near sideline. Dorothy Trudeau. I know she likes being called Dot Trudeau. And she gets tackled inside the 9.
And that's an all or nothing blitz for Quebec. Either you're going to send the quarterback 10 feet underground, or you're going to give up a play like that. And it just didn't work out for them.
So, Dave, I can confirm there was Olivia Trudeau to Dot Trudeau. They play for 2 different teams for SAFL. One plays for Erdrey, one plays for Central Alberta Fire, which is based in Red Deer. But a good Trudeau connection there.
Fair enough, yeah.
As Olivia Trudeau takes that one towards the near sideline herself, calling her own number, and tripped up towards the near sideline by Kimmy Forrest.
And these are the kinds of plays that they're going to be able to, they're going to play one way or the other on Saturday. These are the kind of, we're both going to keep doing it, folks, sorry. These are the kind of plays that they're going to have more confidence in, especially if they win and play Ontario. They'll know what they failed on in the previous game and what they can improve on as we have a player shaken up on the field.
I'm not sure where that happened. It just looked over all of a sudden. There was a Quebec player looking to be in a fair amount of discomfort down on the field. Of course, we never want to see any injuries. We hope the player is okay. And hopefully she's able to return at some point in time in this game.
So all 6 teams went to Callaway Park yesterday, or?
Monday.
Or on Monday?
Yeah.
I'm sure they all practiced yesterday.
They went Monday. Quebec was very loved because they apparently they like to carry on the old school boombox. They've been known for doing that at all the women's U18 tournaments, and they're the party team and the hype team, and apparently we're very successful in the carnival games.
Yeah, exactly.
Concessions.
Again, we'd like to thank the Calgary Stampeders for everything they're doing this week, and SportsCanada.tv. I've worked with them several times in the past, and nice to have them back in town. So, hi to Choil and everybody else watching behind the scenes.
A little bit of blue sky for Tourism Calgary's Blue Sky City today.
Still 8-0 here for Alberta.
This is the player back to her feet, walking to the sideline on her own power, which is good to see. Again, hoping for her ability to return at some point in time in this game. As we focus back to the action, Alberta, 2nd and goal from just outside the 6-yard box in the soccer field. David Trudeau lining up under center. Takes the snap and tries the QB sneak forward. Instantly wrapped up by the Quebec defense. Nowhere to go. It's going to be 3rd and goal from the 6.
Alberta just absolutely stopped by the entire team Quebec there. And we will now go to a 3rd down.
So what do you do here, Dave? Do you go for the touchdown or do you go for a field goal? Get the points.
Well, it depends on the level of confidence in your kicker, I would assume. And we'll have to wait and see. But worst case scenario, I seem to always talk about that. Quebec's got like 105 yards to the other end of the field in just less than 4 minutes to do it, even with the 3-minute warning time stoppage. So,
well, the other thing is, how well do you trust your defense? As Alberta takes the timeout here, how well do you trust your defense to get that ball back in deep enough in Quebec's end, if you do go for it?
Well, I think the most important thing right now is 0 on the Quebec scoreboard rather than 16. You'd rather it be 8-0 than 8-8, and 16-0 would rather be a bonus than making a silly risk and then giving Quebec the touchdown to tie it going into halftime and the confidence and the chance to adjust. So that's what Sean Walter needs to figure out.
But more excitement for these girls tomorrow. They're taking in the Stampeders game.
Oh, terrific.
Hosting the Montreal Alouettes.
We'll know who Quebec's cheering for.
The Rough Riders. Doesn't everybody cheer for the Rough Riders?
Well, you'd almost think so.
I don't, for the record. However, the Saskatchewan crowd has traveled very well here to Calgary.
Yes, they have.
Does not surprise me at all.
I'm sure a lot of them will be going tomorrow night, too.
Olivia Trudeau scrambling towards the nearest side, and she's in the house. It's another touchdown for Alberta.
And that's very well executed from the point of the snap, because that didn't mean that she had to get a lot of stress towards the corner and the pylon. She didn't have to make any last-second adjustments. So that was, as I said, very well executed from the moment it occurs. You can see the center immediately turn and try to make the last move, which is exactly what she did. Dorothy Trudeau, the center. All 6 players executed very well in that case.
Albert is also good. Sorry to cut you off, Dave.
Successful, and it is now for an additional 2 points, 16 for Alberta.
So Bradford got the first touchdown and Trudeau got the second one.
Both Alberta quarterbacks, and they scored almost in the same ways too. They both dove for that near side pylon.
Yeah, exactly. There hasn't been any real push up the gut like you might see in the 12-by-12 again, because there's not as many holes to create.
Well, they tried it on second down. It didn't work either.
Yeah, I mean, if you got 5 big offensive linemen, you can get a couple of them to open up a hole for you to go like through the center circle. But it's all about the edges and then the quick speeds. That's why when high school teams play this, high school boys teams, sometimes the score is like 60-59 because there's just so much speed and so many ways to exploit the angles.
As Alberta kicking off to Quebec, it's Rondeau back to field as she finds a hole, gets some help from blockers. Running into the kicker, and Olivia Trudeau and Madison Harrison will finish up the tackling. Rondeau looks to be in a little bit of discomfort at the end of the play, slow to get up.
Yeah, and Trudeau runs the touchdown in and then has to kick off and then make the tackle. So it's all about everybody putting in the the maximum effort. Quebec were the bronze medalists last year. Ontario the gold, Alberta the silver, Manitoba 4th, Saskatchewan 5th, Indigenous 6th. And there were 2 teams last year. There were 2 teams for Ontario red and black, and there was a team New Brunswick as the tournament took place out in the Atlantic provinces, but only 6 teams this year. But I'm sure that will evolve as time goes on, depending on who's hosting. So bronze versus silver, 2024. That's what today's matchup is.
These teams also met in the 2023 U18 women's final. Alberta victorious, taking their 2nd crown in that one, after beating Saskatchewan the year before in the first tournament.
So Olivia Baudry, 33, and Megan Jodoin, 59, would have been in both of those games because this is their 3rd consecutive tournament. So
as an end, the last pass towards the far side falls incomplete.
I'm sure they're looking for revenge and to break that streak against Alberta.
Second down, Team Quebec.
Nice solid throw. I think a lot of the quarterbacks on Sunday were just kind of getting used to being here after a long flight and getting more comfortable, and the throwing has been a lot better today over Sunday.
Oh, we've gotten the first game in, so you've kind of got those nerves and jitters done as Quebec calls another timeout here. And they've had a couple more practices since they played on Sunday as well. So you're a little bit, you're more settled, you're more acclimatized to the time difference, especially for our East Coast teams. Well, East Coast being East Central Ontario, Manitoba, or Ontario and Quebec. And then you've also had a couple more practices, so you're able to get used to your receivers a little bit more because, of course, being a provincial team, you're not used to necessarily everybody you're playing with right now because you don't see them on your side of the ball.
Yeah.
Team Indigenous, I think, is probably dealt the worst hand in that, so to speak, because they're represented from all over the country, not just within the province. It's a little harder to coordinate practices.
And that's a 12-month effort. We talked about it on Sunday, how much the organizing committee's been working since January, February on this to get ready for this 3rd week of July events. But Team Indigenous like that, you have to find out who's interested in playing, how much they're playing during the season, and then how you can get them, how to decide what your final roster is, and then how do you get everybody to Calgary, and how you get them home too.
Miscue in the backfield, and Doral scrambles towards the far sideline, making something out of nothing. I think it's going to be a 3rd down and about 3 to go. But definitely some athletes on all of these teams, especially Team Indigenous.
It is now 3rd down, Team Quebec.
It's been a very good tournament so far, and looking forward to what we still have in store. It's a high snap there. Throwing low, nearly intercepted off a pair of Alberta hands, and it falls incomplete.
So
it was Alexis Pearson and Brielle McDonald-Robchow that nearly had it.
the incomplete pass almost picked off by Team
You can kind of see after the play, they kind of joke with each other a little bit there.
L'équipe Alberta, ce sont un revirement sur
Just a little bit of a high snap, awkward to handle, and not the greatest of throws and off pair of hands. But it is a turnover on downs, 1st down for Alberta.
And that's what you wanted to know was, could they rely on the defense late in the quarter? Well, they just got a turnover on downs. So an overall solid effort for Alberta at this point.
Complete switch on the line for Team Alberta. Snap back to Olivia Trudeau. Under some pressure, but finds her receiver. That's Dante Trudeau. Oh, again, that Trudeau to Trudeau connection. And it's going to bring up 2nd and 3.
Yeah, Charlie Couture with the tackle. Sometimes you have to bring them down further behind you, but as long as you have them secure, that's what matters. And again, the double blitz that Trudeau had to handle very quickly and managed to.
Olivia Trudeau back in the shotgun one more time. Another switch on the line from Team Alberta. Snap. Running into a running back. That's Lacey Muth. A little bit of miscue. She might have a yard on the play. It's going to bring up third down for Team Alberta. That's not really what you want to be doing in the backfield.
Bit of confusion in the backfield. And
yeah, a bit of confusion is exactly right.
Team Quebec players.
Third and about a yard and a half, maybe.
A gain of a couple of yards. So third yard and
we'll take another look at it. Well, the ground is as good as it could be. The drainage is terrific. If, as I was saying on Sunday, if we were playing this game 30 years ago, it would still be a swamp.
Under center, Olivia Trudeau pressing forward, tumbling forward, and she does have enough for the first down for Team Alberta. There's 1:53 to go in the half, and Alberta's still rolling.
Yeah, third score here could really make a huge difference, especially after a turnover on downs that Quebec took the gamble, and that one did not pay off for them.
Well, the other thing we're seeing, too, is it's the conversion game after the touchdowns as well. A lot of teams aren't necessarily getting those extra 2 points. So Alberta having hit those first two also gives them that bit of an edge, too, because now it really puts the pressure on Quebec, whereas if they do score, they have to hit those as well. And a toss for Trudeau, mishandled, and Quebec jumping on the loose ball.
That's not a great play from Muth, because I think she thought she never had complete control and just gave up on it, and the referees disagreed and said, no, you had control, you fumbled it, and Quebec recovered it. So huge moment for Team Quebec here in light blue on defense.
Well, I was watching this replay. That's a toss. That's a backward lateral pass. So that's a live ball. You can't, and no one on Alberta went for it. I think the closest one to get there would probably have been Dot Trudeau, but even she was a ways off. And here goes Quebec on the running play on first down, straight up the gut for Bélanger, and gets a couple, but not quite enough.
Yeah, that's a bit of confusion. That's when we do PA for high school, I tend to skip the first week because it's usually a lot of penalties, a lot of those kinds of things about what the rules are and stuff. It's always funny when you see CFL preseason games with the American players, and then they make a mistake like that, and then it's because they didn't know the rules.
Dollal takes off and brought down by a pair of Alberta defenders. There is some flags down. I guess I should say there are some flags down near the line of scrimmage.
And then a week later, those players are back on a flight because they got cut.
Sur le jeu, voyons quel est le résultat.
Boy, I'd hire this guy to do the PA for the Alouette Stampeders game tomorrow night. He's doing a fantastic job in 2 languages. So,
just a big shout out to Martin Rayom, our bilingual PA guy, also part of the organizing committee for this year's tournament.
So offside for Team Alberta. Moving up the ball for Team.
It's been a very big help, his French knowledge, because the rest of our planning committee is not as well versed. I used to be, but it's kind of gone at this point now. It's been too many years.
Yeah, me too. And then I finished junior high school, and that was it.
Hand off there for Quebec. It's Bélanger, the ball carrier. She gets a couple of yards, maybe one. It's going to bring up third down for Quebec.
Now we'll see what they do this time compared to the third down gamble they had previously.
A couple personnel changes on that far sideline. 57 seconds. You're almost in go for it territory because you don't want to. You kind of want to try to answer back a little bit before halftime, but you also don't really want to risk it based on field position.
Yeah, in the pros, you'd probably be punting to have it roll out around the 15 or 10 yard line, but they're going to go for it.
Trick play here for Quebec. And it's Marisol Chantois' pass that falls incomplete. Once again, it's Adege that unable to handle it. And it's going to be turnover on downs. First down for Team Alberta.
Well, she's probably had the most targets toward her of either team today.
In the second quarter.
Well, the first game definitely showed why she was one of those key players for Quebec against Team Indigenous. And That one a little bit behind her and unable to catch it.
Chantois actually 4 runs and a catch against Indigenous. This time asked to throw the ball.
As Arena Bradford back in the backfield for Team Alberta. Has to jump a little bit on that one, handing it off. Breaking a tackle is Abby Vu. She takes off and has about 5, maybe 6. Good run for the Alberta running back.
Yeah, and they kind of cleaned up the issue of why they gave up the fumble to begin with. So they canceled it out with the turnover on downs. So that's good for their overall confidence level.
As Bradford back in the backfield one more time for Team Alberta. Dropping back under some pressure. Finds her Central Alberta Fire teammate Carol Litzenberger, and Litzenberger dives forward as she gets tackled. It's going to bring up 3rd and about 2.
Yeah, there haven't been a lot of like these 3rd and 10 incompletion type plays. Almost all of them for both teams have been 3rd and 3 or less. So they know how to manufacture yards and keep going forward on the field.
Alberta calling a timeout with 17 seconds to go. Both teams have used both of theirs. So we got nothing left for the rest of the half. Some good representation around teams for around the province.
Quick reminder that our concession is
a couple members of the West Edmonton Raiders who won the girls U18 provincial finals. Here to represent Team Alberta. As we start to reach golden hour, Arena Bradford back in the backfield for Team Alberta once again in the shotgun. Takes the snap, scrambling towards her right. Gets hit instantly by Hondo in the backfield, and Bradford is dropped. It's going to be a turnover on downs. Some forward progress will spot Quebec the ball at their own 51.
Yeah,
and Bradford's in some discomfort. She was injured towards the end of the game against Ontario. And I think she may have re-aggravated that, whatever that may have been.
Yeah, we heard on the radio that Acacia Weiss, 28, was ineligible, so you'll see her go straight ahead. And I think Bradford going to the right may not have been exactly what the call was, but oh man, that's the hit of the week right there.
And their head snapping and hitting the ground at the end of the play. Might have to go for concussion check. Probably why she was shaken up a little bit. Of course, we hope for the best, and hopefully it's not a concussion, just a quick little head snap, but hoping for the best for the Alberta quarterback.
Well, that might be a candidate to assist Nora Rondo in getting the Defensive Player of the Game award. Stick around for those Player of the Game awards after the completion of the matchup. Offensive and defensive All-Stars for both teams will be announced at the conclusion of the game.
Snap there for Quebec, and Dalal throwing towards the near side. Finally finding Odej. Odej brought down after about a 9-yard gain. A pair of Alberta defenders wrapping her up. Isabella McFall on the tackle for Team Alberta.
Just about the first down, so 9 yards. 1 yard to go, and is stopped by Isabella McFall, number 3.
The quarterback definitely has a focus. You can see it in her body language, how she's concentrated. Yeah, maybe all the passes haven't been perfect spirals, but she definitely has a great concentration and want to get it there.
High snap and a throw downfield for Quebec, and the last throw missing her target was and that'll do it for the first half. After 2 quarters, Alberta 16, Quebec no score.
Yeah, we'll get some halftime stats that we'll quote for you at the end of halftime. But we'll take a break. Alberta has played very, very well. Quebec will definitely have to make some adjustments, but we'll see if and when Bradford comes back. But her and Trudeau have been trading back and forth for the last game and a half, so we'll see how that progresses. Stick around, folks. 24 down, 24 to go, but this intermission in between.
down during the first half. 18 yards rushing, 15 yards passing for a total yardage. Offensive yards up 28. 2 passes completed for 11 yards. And for Team Alberta, we have 3 first downs, 111 rushing yards, 63 passing yards for a total of 174 total offensive yards. 4 completed passes for a total of... Captains, please! Out of 8 attempts, sorry.
Stand right down the middle.
Bro, maybe it was good that she was angry at practice, because I'm bringing it here, thank God.
Okay, keep this.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a look at the halftime stats that we promised. 10-1 were the first downs for Team Alberta. Rushing yards 111 to 18, so definitely different from the 270 that Quebec got on Sunday. Yards passing 63 to 10, total offense 174 to 28. Alberta only 50%, 4 for 8 on passing, although it is 4 completions for 63 yards. Quebec 2 completions out of 11 attempts. The penalties a lot calmer this time. Alberta 2 for 10, Quebec 1 for 5, and both teams have 2 turnovers.
Yeah, I didn't think this game was going to be as chippy as the one on Sunday. That one was fairly chippy compared.
Yeah, those 2 teams definitely wanted the rematch from last year, and Ontario got the revenge for winning the championship game, and then also winning in this game on this past Sunday. So Alberta will want to try to break that streak as we go, if they can hold on to this lead, because the winner of this game will play Ontario in the big final at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. on the east in Quebec, 7 on the East Coast, and 7:30 in Newfoundland for all of you watching out there. It's 11:38 in Newfoundland right now, and if there's anybody watching, we appreciate it. Both live and on demand on the Football Canada official YouTube channel. And again, thanks to everybody here at Sports Canada TV for incredible production.
And we're off. Team Quebec kicking off to Team Alberta to start off our third quarter. And that's number 8 for Lacey Muth on the kickoff return, getting brought down about just shy of the 40-yard line. First down for Alberta.
Solid 10 yards. And again, a tremendous advantage to be able to take the first possession with a 2-possession lead. 16-0. Bradford got the first touchdown. They added a 2-point kicking conversion. Trudeau got the next one, put the lead to 14, and then another 2-point kicking conversion as well, as Trudeau is back in behind the center, about 5 yards behind.
As Trudeau lining up for the snap, waiting in the backfield, firing that one down low, just missing her intended target, Abby Vu. It's almost a Raiders-to-Raiders connection from different parts of the province, but that one falls incomplete.
Passe incomplète destinée à Abibou. Et ce sera deuxième essai, second down, Team Alberta.
We'll see what kind of adjustments both teams made. Again, Ontario was trailing at halftime on Sunday, and the first possession of the third quarter was spectacular with all those back-to-back-to-back runs. And that seemed to be the turning point. Speaking of turning points, Quebec is going to cut off the sweep left, and Trudeau is going to be tackled for a loss.
Yeah, not the start to the second half that Alberta would really be wanting, just going backwards on both the opening plays. Obviously what Quebec talked about in their dressing room was beneficial.
Well, yeah, I mean, 1 first down, they're going to have to change things. I mean, they only had 16 against Team Indigenous, but had 350 all-purpose yards and 54 points, so they're just going to have to get back to basics and what they did right on Sunday.
Booming punt away on third down. Rondeau fielding that one in the air over her head. Bringing that one towards the near sideline before being brought down. It's about a 14-yard return.
Yeah, they'll start on the offensive half of the field
Somewhere they didn't see very much in the first half.
Yeah, down at the 48. And again, Manitoba over Indigenous in our early game, 20-0. And then Ontario defeating Saskatchewan 42-27. Now the nightcap of day 2.
Nice quarterback. Hanging off to Hawaii. Takes someone towards the far sideline, brought down by a few Alberta defenders.
And Guitar with a terrific block to get her teammates, Hoy, another 4 or 5 yards on that play, as you see right there. That gave Hoy the chance to adjust and turn on a dime and change her angle of attack.
Ball spotted at the 41, quarterback under center. Nice. And handing it off to a running back who runs that one straight through the middle. Close to the first down marker, and it is going to be a first down for Team Quebec as they push themselves deeper into Alberta's half.
Yeah, Alberta has to make sure that they don't think that the game is already over because they dominated so much in the first half. This is far from over.
There wasn't a whole lot of traveling crowd from Quebec, but the crowd that did travel is sat just to our broadcast right here. They are very loud. They're very proud of their team as it's a handoff to Hawaii one more time. She brings that one towards the near sideline. And they're having fun.
Good, yeah. And Quebec didn't get 54 points on Sunday by accident, so Alberta's going to have to tighten some things up. Of course, both teams have scouts up here in the press box on either side of us, radioing down to their compatriots on the field. So.
As quarterback back in shotgun, that's Dallaire. Lots of time, finally scrambling forward. She found a hole and took off. Brought down by number 80, Alexis Pearson.
Alexis Pearson stops that run.
We'll get a better sense of what she was able to see as we see this replay. All the players, except one, really kind of hold back and make sure that she has the time. You see 4 of her teammates. The one player that was downfield was double teamed, which gave her, because of the great blocking of the 4 teammates, the opportunity to make that run and get that first down.
Here's everybody blocking, didn't really give the quarterback many options. She only really had one downfield or take off. And there's a handoff there for Hawaii, and there's a flag down.
Hawaii again takes the ball and is able to move forward. However, there is a flag on the play. Donc une infraction sur le jeu, malgré l'avance de Maïkaoui.
Offensive holding.
Both teams have been fairly disciplined so far.
Yeah, Quebec 1 for 5, Alberta 2 for 10 in the first half.
Which, comparing to their first game, is a massive improvement for both teams.
Yeah, definitely. Again, you'd wonder what 75 yards of penalties were necessary for. Of course, you can watch the archives of all the previous games on the Football Canada channel.
So 10-yard holding penalty. We'll go back 10 yards and redo first down. 1st and 20 coming up for Team Quebec. And lining up in the shotgun, running back behind her. Receiver out to her right.
We've been getting some terrific numbers on the hits of the archives and the live. So.
And Dallaire calling her own number, takes off. A pair of Alberta defenders running into each other, making the tackle. 2nd down for Quebec.
Yeah, Kampola took down Pearson completely unintentionally, but that's just kind of how it turned out. And again, 3 players lined up at the line, which meant that the middle player, the center, was ineligible to receive a throw.
It's the advantage of having a referee in our timing box. We can ask questions at halftime to get a little bit of clarification on some things.
But how far the ends can be from the center.
Handoff for Adage, and she takes that one up the far sideline. Finally brought down by Alexis Pino.
And that's something that she can build on mentally and just say, okay, I'm not just destined to be stopped and drop the ball constantly. You build many from the start, and that can be something that she can really roll with going forward.
And it's the furthest into Alberta's territory that Quebec has gotten to so far in this game. They are at the 12. It's 1st and 10. See what they can do here with Donald lining up in the shotgun. One running back in the backfields. Handing it off to that running back. That is number 8, Hoyi. Hoyi charging through the middle and brought down towards the 5. It's going to bring up 2nd down.
Yeah, 84 yards and 2 touchdowns on Sunday for her.
A very late flag came out. One of our officials is going to be going against Team Quebec. Not sure what happened. Someone may have said something, but clarification from the head official here in a couple moments.
Yeah, we've got the officials' radios that we can listen to as well, so that kind of helps. Helps us tell you what's going on.
Of course, our officiating crew doing a fantastic job here this weekend, making a lot of strange calls that they wouldn't normally have to, especially in that last game against Saskatchewan and Ontario. There was like back-to-back consecutive roughing the kicker penalties on converts.
Jeez. Yeah, we saw a few penalties on converts on Sunday. All right, 2nd down as they walk it back 15 yards from where the penalty occurred. So 2nd down and 18 from the 20.
So on that penalty, 2nd and 18 for Team Quebec.
And that's Doral lining up in the shotgun once again. High snap. She had to corral that one. Odej drops it, but jumps on it.
That's the trouble.
A couple yards.
That's the trouble, and that's unfortunately with how strict football plays are. Okay, I catch and I immediately go right. I shift right, but you have to make the catch first, and that kind of led to a miscommunication. But fortunately, she was just able to jump on it and keep possession. But yeah, 3rd and 21 right now.
Third and long coming up for Team Quebec. 2 in the backfield as Doral waiting for the snap. Correction, Quebec lining up for a punt. Goes into the end zone and will roll through. Quebec is on the board with a rouge. It is 16-1.
That's correct, yeah, and they don't have the full 20-yard Canadian end zones. They have the 10 yards, so it's more like an NFL-sized field. Is this the NFL length width?
No.
It's probably a little bit narrower than that.
Yeah, I think so.
I want to get to an NFL game eventually, and as soon as I walk in, just say, wow, the field is so small. It'll actually be really weird on my eyes to be able to, they play football and just a field as small as this. This seems strange to me.
The field is smaller, the football is smaller, the players on the field is smaller. Well, number-wise.
Numbers-wise, yeah.
And some of those players are very jacked. It's a handoff there for Team Alberta. Firing through the hole, number 21, Alexis Graham. She will not be caught to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Alberta. No flags, it will stand.
And that penalty might end up being the turning point of the entire game because Quebec had a terrific drive going, settles for the 1 point on a because they were forced back to 3rd and 22, and then Alberta completely flips the script on the first play up from scrimmage after they took possession.
Watching this replay here, Dave, there's the snap, the handoff, breaks one tackle, an arm tackle, breaks the second arm tackle, and the South Calgary Colts member of SAFL will not be touched from there on in. What a run from Graham. And the convert is good to boot. It's 24-1, but also what an answer from Alberta, after Quebec gets the 1 point. Bit of a momentum killer.
100% Cole, and again, is that the magic moment that settles this game once and for all? Well, we won't know that for at least 17 and a half minutes, but Quebec has to respond immediately to this and just not let it get them down. We'd like to once again thank our amazing sponsors, Tourism Calgary and the government of Alberta, for their support in this year's U18 Women's Championship. Thanks to some of our other amazing sponsors, Hilberg and Burke, Oculus Private Wealth, Lynn Fletcher Weddings, Sleek Signs, Tourism Calgary, the City of Calgary, the Make a Diff Sports Foundation, and again, the Alberta government.
And a kickoff from Alberta, right through the wickets of Rondeau. She kicks it, trying to pick it up. Well, as Alberta get downfield a bit more, Rondeau takes towards one towards the far side, avoids one, and again, it's the kicker, Olivia Trudeau, forced to make the tackle for Team Alberta on the far sideline around the 42.
Yeah, that's definitely something, regardless of when they play on Saturday, Cole, that's definitely something they're going to want to review in the film room and clean up, because Quebec's had some good kickoff returns so far tonight.
Well, especially if you're playing in that gold medal championship game, definitely don't want to be giving up any big kick returns. As there's Ladege finally on that reception, receiving that pass from Dola.
Good anticipation for Madison Harrison, limiting the gain to 1.
Madison Harrison réussit à attraper le ballon, mais immédiatement arrêté par Madison Harrison. Deuxième essai, équipe Québec. Second down, Team Québec.
Quebec's got it back on Andalou from the representing the Jaguars to Rivière Sud in Brossard, Quebec. Throwing that towards the near sideline again. Caught by Ladege.
And Alexis Pearson out of Tabor, about an hour and a half northeast of Calgary, has seemingly been able to get to the quarterback more than anybody else in a white uniform. There haven't been any sacks officially for them yet, but she's come as close as anybody.
And Pearson is one of the 2 Alberta players that don't actually represent a club team or a high school team at this tournament. The other one is Isabella McFall. Last team she was on was the 2024 Team Alberta team. It's a push out the middle from Team Quebec on 3rd and short. They do have enough for a first down.
The referees were very clear about that.
Une fois de plus, nous remercions nos formidables commanditaires Tourisme Calgary et le gouvernement d'Alberta pour leur soutien du championnat national féminin au moins de 18 ans cette année.
I think Alberta definitely paid a lot of attention to the film of the Quebec Indigenous game and just said, okay, well, if they run this, we have to be prepared for that. And like if Quebec and Alberta had been the first game of the event for both teams, it may have been a different result than it is now, but Alberta's definitely learned what Quebec did right and have limited a 54-point team down to just 1 here so far.
And calling out number scrambling forward. There is a flag in the backfield. Should have about a 6-yard gain, but that gain will be pending the penalty.
Erica Campola in some real discomfort here, but she's staying on the field. She's not limping, but she's having some issues for sure. But she'll stay in the game.
That gain will be negated due to the holding penalty. We'll go back 10 yards and redo the first down. Bit of a momentum killer again for Quebec.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looked like Grattan's helmet hit the midsection of Campola, and she's been struggling to get her breath ever since. But she'll be the rush end this time.
Dada lining up in the shotgun, one running back in the backfields. High snap. Gives it to that running back, number 8, Migai Hoi. And run down after a short gain. Going on Rob Chan and Madison Harrison in on the tackle for Team Alberta.
And the score and the yardage gives Alberta a bigger variety of how they can defend and how many they're going to choose to send to Dallaire, the quarterback, or how many they're going to hold back because they know that Quebec, not only on the yardage but on the scoreboard, needs to get to the offensive half very quickly.
Another run for Quebec, this time towards the near side of the field. Running that one is number 83, Emi Alal. She's brought down the near sideline by Erica Campula, and there's a late penalty flag.
There might have been some contact with the helmet, a face mask, possibly. I'm not down there. They had a much better view than I did, but just the way that the runner landed, that would be my guess.
It's going to be a horse collar penalty called against Team Alberta.
Yeah, horse collar. Needless to say that the hand was a little bit too high on the player's equipment, one way or the other.
We talk about momentum killers, and for Alberta, you get the stop on the running play on 2nd and long, and then you unfortunately have the high tackle, and then we can see that there on the replay, right in the horse collar, and that just gives Quebec all the momentum back on this drive.
Automatic first down.
So it's not really what you want to be doing.
De Québec qui avancera le ballon et ce sera maintenant.
First and 10 at the 45.
And Endala again, shotgun once again. Taking the snap, handing it off to Oyi. And Oyi ramped up by John Robinson and Penno on towards that far side, brought down around the 39-yard line. Second down for Quebec.
So on that play,
they like that sweep right. We've seen that from both teams quite often. And I'd say probably the quality of the Alberta tackling has been limiting the Quebec running results. They only had 18 yards rushing in the first half.
I think I should say Quebec's definitely had more yards in this half than in the first. It's another handoff there for Hoy, and she's instantly stopped by the Alberta defense.
I didn't get a chance to see that first game, Cole, but I think a mild conclusion we can come to is you can positionally be in the right place to make a tackle, but if you're not good at tackling, or you're not good at the fundamental of it, they're going to rip through you. You can have a hand on the jersey or a hand around the hips, but they're just going to keep pushing ahead. So how you tackle is day one from defensive coaches, no matter what.
Quebec lining up to punts on third down. They're going to go for a fake again, throwing it. Odege wrapped up short of the first down marker. I'm not sure if that was necessarily the right call for Team Quebec.
Well, the trouble was that Odege had kind of turned back and wasn't near the 35-yard line. The quarterback certainly had enough time to wait for her to get into position. Here's the throw. If she was anticipating that the only way she could do it was to get through the tackler, that didn't happen because Madison Harrison took care of that as quickly as she could. But it's a third turnover on downs for Quebec today. And Alberta was happy to tackle her behind the first down marker.
There's a second-year player getting that pass from Chantois. The first-year player is Olivia Trudeau under pressure. Excuse me. Does get hit as she throws. The ball falls incomplete. But I was just trying to say, the first-year player, you're getting a pass from the second-year, or passing towards the second-year player. Maybe a little bit of an experience on where to necessarily look on the field to try to figure out how far you need to get.
Yeah, well done, Quebec 22. Ocean Allard got around Alberta 22, Kara Litzenberger, rather quickly.
Maybe Trudeau back in the backfield one more time. Running into her own teammates. And the ball falling on the ground, and Trudeau smartly jumping onto that one. It'll be third and long for Alberta. Not a good drive on this occasion. That will do it for quarter number 3. After the first 3 quarters is Alberta 24, Quebec 1.
I think both players thought the other one was taking the ball with them. And malfunction at the junction, to quote a local legend, if you don't understand, ask your grandparents. We'd like to thank some of our football sponsors: Football Canada, Football Alberta, the Calgary Bantam Football Association, the Southern Alberta Female Football League, the Calgary Stampeders, and NFL Canada. At this time, we'd like to recognize the hard work and contributions of all the volunteers here at Shouldice, including Cole, and most importantly, our tournament committee, including Cole. as well as the volunteers from all the provinces that are participating, including Cole, providing a fantastic opportunity to all the athletes playing in this 2025 U18 Women's Championship.
A lot more than just me, though, Dave.
Well, you're standing here, but yeah,
I am. Yes.
I got the email about this back in February, so and I was happy to commit this much in advance because that just shows you how much time and effort the committee has had to put into this and how long it takes to get something like this ready. So
yeah, that was pretty quick. I think that was after our second meeting that I sent that email out, calling for seeing who was interested in announcing.
Yeah, it worked out perfect.
Being part of our amazing broadcast crew, it's been a fantastic job done by you and Chris and Brennan on our English broadcast, as well as Gabriel and Fred Kreiner on our French broadcast. Of course, Martin Rayom on the bilingual PA, having to do a lot more work than all of us when we're doing PA work. She's got to do it in both English and French. So everyone's having fun, to my knowledge, and we're all thriving. There's a pass there for Quebec falling incomplete.
My only question is, are the Quebec players going to be able to fit all those stuffed animals into their suitcases?
I was wondering that too, honestly. I don't know how many they brought home. I just heard that some players are bringing back armfuls to the U of C because they're all staying at the dorms up there.
Yeah.
It's good to see the Olympic dorms are still being used for international or for national sports tournaments.
Yeah, Calgary's been hosting a lot of Western and national events. They had a judo event a couple months ago. Again, the Little League baseball, senior baseball out by Springbank, about 10 minutes west of here. So,
of course, it's Calgary Stampede to start the month.
Yeah, but like these national sports events, which has been terrific. Calgary usually, if Calgary does one, Edmonton usually does five. But Calgary's starting to catch up now. We see some Quebec fans out there cheering their player on. Olivia Baudry's certainly got some fans out there. Number 33.
If they weren't wearing the Quebec flags, they might be mistaken for some Alberta fans because they have the cowboy hats on too there, Dave.
Now the fleur-de-lis certainly stands out. First time in about 12 days we haven't had any wind. We'll see how long that lasts with the flags on the far side.
This Goyette's pass hitting Alexis Pearson. If she caught that, she was gone, but it falls incomplete, and it's going to bring up 3rd and 10.
Again, just a reminder to stick around for the Player of the Game awards. Two defensive awards, one for each team, and 2 offensive awards, one for each team after the completion of the matchup.
Of course, fantastic sponsors for our awards, Hilberg and Burke and NFL Canada. Our tournament MVPs are going to be getting something special in addition. I haven't seen it yet. Just heard rumors. As Quebec punts away on 3rd down. Not the greatest of punts, and it rolls out of bounds around the 50.
Yeah, it looked like it rolled off the side of the foot of Eloise Viau.
We've seen a few of those, though, where the kickers aren't necessarily getting what they... hitting it properly on their foot and ends up hitting like halfway up their calf or the outside of their foot, and it goes very much the wrong direction.
She's a member of the Jaguars de la Rive Sud, and there's 5
good
members. I've never been to Quebec. I'd love to go someday. I've been to Toronto and been to Halifax, but never been to the province of Quebec. There are 5 members of that team on this Team Quebec roster.
They've been to Montreal and Gatineau, Quebec. Of course, you get to Ottawa. It's not too far to get to Gatineau, just right across the river there. Little throw there for Brianna Bradford, finding her receiver number 21, Alexis Graham. A pair of Saddle connections there, giving Team Alberta another 1st down.
Yeah, go to the edge, go to the boundary line, and just fall out of bounds. Just find your 11, 12-yard mark. And make sure you hang on to the ball and don't let it out of your hands. Know where the yard markers are.
Bradford lining up in the backfield, shotgun. 2 her teammates joining her, and she takes that one towards far side, cuts back in. Met there by Quebec's number 33, Olivia Baudry. And there's a flag down as well on the far side.
Well, good to see Bradford back on the field after the tackle she absorbed near the end of the first half. She was hoping to fool both of the defenders. She fooled one, but not the other. And Baudry managed to bring her down, but perhaps not in a legal manner.
So unnecessary roughness, 15-yard penalty.
So another horse collar penalty being called, this time against Team Quebec. Helping out Alberta a little bit as that drive was not going the greatest. But it stays alive with that 15-yard.
And 15 yards from the location of the incident.
See it there in the replay, the player in the red helmet from Team Quebec. And Bradford will take over once again in the backfields. One to her left, one behind her. Gets the snap, looking downfield, scrambling, and pass intercepted. And away goes Quebec. As Eloise Veillot still going, finally brought down. Tracked down by Alyssa Graham. Big play there for Quebec.
And if Quebec's going to do something on the scoreboard, that's something they need to absolutely do and take advantage of. Viau realized very quickly that she had all the room she needed. And the Alberta tacklers were there eventually, but as we take a look at a second view.
Scrambling towards her right. Yeah. A little bit of a light throw, too much in front of her receiver, right to the defender.
Unfortunately, the vision of the quarterback was to one target. You knew exactly what she was going to do. And the Stampeder radio guys all the time, they talk about that constantly. It's the quarterback can't give away their plan, and Bradford gave away her plan.
Finding a hole running up the middle is Mikaï Hoyer. She has enough for a first down before being brought down. Bella McIntosh in on the tackle for Team Alberta.
When athletes talk about when they're going 110%, it's this kind of inspiration that just you find a second gear. You find that the last ounce of gas in your tank because your teammates have earned this position and then relied on you to take the next step. And that's exactly what happened there.
Quebec handing it off. Working way towards the near side is Julia Guital.
And sometimes being able to improv like that is so important because like you'll especially see these high school kids where it's like the play is this, I must do this, and then you get tackled for 1 yard. A gain of one has never been in a coach's playbook, but the ability to adjust, you once you get to a grade 11, grade 12, you know you have that vision to be able to adjust to something and then make a play just like she did.
Miscue in the backfield on the handoff, and Guital once again, short gain for Team Quebec. Will bring up third down.
2 yards on that one.
I think ideally you want to get 4 yards on every carry, especially if you're playing the extra down like the NFL. 3 to 4 yards is pretty much good to get you a first down every time.
Well, that's what some of these college teams do. They just go 5 at a time and just go from one end to the other and take 8, 9, 10 minutes off the clock and never give their
it's definitely less risky.
The other offense a chance to respond with much time left.
Quarterback keeper that time for Team Quebec. Still on her feet, number 8, Mikaï Hoyer.
And that's a terrific play call, direct quarterback keep. And then her immediately accelerating to either angle because either one was open. And a great camera angle we're about to see here of it. And then you just keep going and wait for the shoestring tackle.
Alberta calling a timeout here.
7:35 remaining in a 23-point ball game, but of course you can earn as many as 8 points per score, so
still a 3-score game.
Yep, they could win 25-24 very easily.
Of course, if we believe in CFL rules here at the U18 tournament, their unofficial motto, no lead is ever safe.
True. Well, especially in 6-on-6, because I mean, like I said, that's why CFL NFL games aren't 99-98 is because if you beat one guy, that doesn't necessarily mean that 4 or 5 other guys are there to tackle you. I mean, the perfect thing to compare this to is rugby sevens.
Yeah.
And some of those games are wild, and the fans go absolutely ballistic. I mean, especially in Paris, where France is one of the best teams, but people just, the 15v15 game can be extremely hard to watch and boring, but the 7v7 is just, it's just changed the sport completely.
Hoy again, the ball carrier that time for Team Quebec. But yeah, that's the thing, is like if you miss your tackle, you know, you don't really have a whole lot of help. I mean, you might have a safety, but that's really about it, unless you have one heck of a speed player.
And that's why this is 6v6 is perfect for small town football. Like my dad grew up in a town of 1,100 people. He didn't play, and it didn't exist 60 years ago. But for a town like that, it would be perfect nowadays.
And up to number 17, Odej. She takes that one towards the far sideline. There is a flag on the play near the 20. Let's see which way that's going to go.
Pearson.
So that's why I wouldn't mind if, I mean, it'll probably never happen, but if junior football among like the lower population schools in bigger cities like Calgary and Edmonton went to like a 9v9 or 6v6, you'd probably be able to develop some kids that would be able to get to the 12 versus 12 game once they got up to senior ball, and it would, that way you weren't bringing in bare rookies to get demolished for 3 years. I'll have to maybe ask Tim about that when I see him again.
And there's going to be a holding penalty called against the defense. So I'll put the ball inside the 10. It's going to be first and goal for Quebec. But yeah, that's something that we're trying to do with the Calgary Bandit Football League is, or association, pardon me, where teams that have the bigger rosters like Airdrie and the Wildcats and stuff, like they have a separate 9-a-side, a separate league that plays on a different day and stuff, but just the younger players that get that extra development. As there's a handoff there toward the far side for Odej. She's tackled by Pearson, but those extra games and reps and development that you can do for the younger, greener players is really beneficial for those teams.
Well, especially for smaller population schools where, like, I've probably seen a couple of 100 games on this field alone, and like a school that has maybe 700-800 kids, there's maybe they have 30 guys, but there's only like 15 or 16 that ever see the field, and a lot of them go 2 ways because they just can't risk the green rookies playing, and then they end up their whole grade 10 year.
QB keeper, touchdown Quebec. It's Alain Dallard. An 8-yard rushing touchdown. That's Quebec's first major of this game, making it 24-7 with 6:24 to go.
Terrific work on that. But yeah, you want kids not to just dress up and watch the entire year.
Well, that's the other thing we're seeing in Calgary too, is it's, you know, how many schools are merging programs as well, because they have low numbers.
Team Alberta 7-14 Quebec.
We'll get another look at the touchdown here shortly.
Following the convert, ball down and right into the wall of Alberta defenders. That'll keep it 24-7.
And that means it's still a 3-score game. Because now they can only be 23-24 if they maximize their next 2 drives.
Well, as I mentioned earlier in the game, as we watched the replay here, Dallal cutting back to her left.
Terrific pivot and getting the best of Madison Harrison. But yeah, that vision to be able to adjust and then to take the quick step right-left was the key there.
But as I mentioned earlier in the game, because Alberta has hit all 3 of their converts, that forces Quebec to hit theirs. You don't hit it, now you need that extra point. You know, do you do it via touchdown, via field goal, via rouge? However they want to do it, they still need 3 scores.
One way or the other, yeah, they're going to need a 3rd score. You're absolutely right.
And they don't have the most amount of time to do it, as it's a short kick.
Oh.
Mishandled by Alberta, still loose. Quebec, Rondeau coming out of the pile with the ball.
Terrific idea, and it worked out terrifically for them. Rondeau a bit of a limp, as she'll get some help from her teammates, but sometimes you got to be lucky to be good. And I wasn't anticipating this at all. It's the same as the 12v12 game. As long as it goes 10 yards, anybody can recover it.
So Chanel kicking it right towards Alberta's number 55, Manuela Minikiongo. Unable to handle it. One of her teammates also unable to jump on it, and it falls right for Rondeau. That's why you want your faster players on the field on the kickoff sometimes, even on kick cover.
Yeah, and you don't want to just kick it 10 yards into the grass. You ideally would like to get that bounce off their player and then just jump on it.
As Anne-Frédéric Goyette's pass falls incomplete, so it'll bring up 2nd and 10 for Team Quebec.
Passe destinée à Béatrice Meloche, mais incomplète, donc ce sera le
A little bit short of her intended target.
Yeah, it hit the ground before, or else Kiara Russell would have had a chance at an interception.
And Quebec, like Alberta, swapping their quarterbacks semi-fairly consistently. I think we saw a little bit more of Goyette's in their opener against Team Indigenous. Dropping back into the pocket, throwing deep downfield, open receiver caught and hauled down. That was Emmy Elard on the reception. Alexis Penno bringing down the receiver. First down for Quebec.
And again, they're going to try to duplicate exactly the kinds of plays and the kinds of execution they had against Team Indigenous. And then just put in that little bit of extra effort, because you know Alberta's in a semi-panic right now. Terrific placement of the ball.
Right in the safety spot on the sideline, side of the receiver, and put it where no defender can contest it. Not like there's really many around anyway. So what Quebec can do here is Goyette's lining up the shotgun one, running back in the backfields. There's the snap and the handoff. And Alberta into the backfield. That's number 80, Alexis Pearson, bringing down the running back, Alexandra Bélanger.
And Pearson left her, as you see, had no issue getting to any offensive player, as the left guard went straight ahead, anticipating the run, and Pearson had a clear path.
And a timeout is called by Team Quebec. So each team has burned one of their timeouts. So we have 4:41 to go here in the fourth quarter. Tight game. Both these teams want to meet Ontario.
Well, what we know for sure is Ontario will play in the third game and Team Indigenous will play in the first game.
We did add 4 seconds to the clock, so it's now 4:45.
And they want to avoid rematches from today or from Sunday. So check out Football Canada's website and or their socials for the updated schedule. And, of course, 10, 1, and 4 Mountain Time, which would be 12, 3, and 6
That'll be
Eastern.
Conversation we'll be having after all the games are done, figuring out who goes where for the games on Saturday. Our speakers are having some struggles out there, because our original sound system at Shoalhays died on Saturday. We have temporary speakers put in place for our tournament.
And the high school season starts in 6 weeks. As insane as it is to say that, well, maybe 7 weeks, but he'll be here in no
blink
time.
of an eye.
Blink of an eye, absolutely. And suddenly we'll need our
Some of these
winter coats.
Some of these Saffel players representing Team Alberta have played for the Bantam League. That's starting up shortly as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Very competitive against the boys. As that pass falls incomplete. Bring up 3rd and long for Team Quebec.
Well, you know that Odege is basically their main target, and they're not giving up on her, nor should they. And as you see, she's the right guard on the line, but travels left to get in position. And they just overthrow her, but they're going to rely on her and keep going to her.
Quebec doing a change of the personnel. I think they're going to line up for a field goal here, Dave. If they do, no, looks like they're going to go for a punt. I think try to get that Rouge.
Yeah,
make it a 2-score game.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're going for a fake. It's a direct snap to Odege. She takes off at the near sideline. She's going to be marked short of the first down marker. Wrapped up by Isabella McFall. That trick play really did not fool Alberta that much.
Yeah, give her 7 or 8 yards. It doesn't really matter as long as you get possession of the ball back. And again, she didn't have the time to shake and bake and adjust to her left and make a cut. So she had to go with everything that was available to the near sideline, and it just was about 3 yards short.
You saw in the replay the two linemen, I think, were the only players that were beat on that. All four linebackers and DBs and safeties saw exactly where that ball went, right out to the right-hand side, tracked her down and denied the first down opportunity, and it's Alberta ball. Rena Bradford in at quarterback in the shotgun position for Alberta.
Well, Quebec can still do it with 3 touchdowns, 13, 19, 25. They can win 25-24.
And up and run up the middle, Lacey Muth, ball carrier.
You don't necessarily need 8-8-1 if you can do 6-6-6.
Some people might not want to do that number, though.
So as we've learned, when it's 3 at the line, it's the player in the middle who's ineligible, so the center in a play like that is eligible to catch a ball.
But in Bradford,
same
taking the snap, handing it off.
Same as this one.
And Quebec getting into the backfield.
Vio with a terrific blitz and, again, great vision, knowing that the clock is the enemy of her team.
No, isn't really much running room for Abby Vu in the backfield there. A little bit of a slow transitional play, but no block there from Kara Litzenberger, pardon me. Uncharacteristic of Litzenberger.
And Beaudry, as you saw in that replay perfectly, had a clear path as well. So, again, stuff that Alberta's going to have to clean up for whoever and whenever they play on Saturday.
As it stands right now, they will be playing Ontario in the gold medal game. It'll be a rematch, a rubber match of our opening feature game as Alberta punts away on third down. It is fielded by Eloise Veo.
3 minutes exactly, which means that the clock stops at the end of every play for the remaining 3 minutes of the second half. And terrific 3 camera shooters here tonight.
They've done a really great job here at Shoals. Providing us a fantastic angle of the broadcast in our broadcast booth here. Dave and I are used to it doing other tournaments and stuff. Not used to being treated this nicely in our broadcast booth as Goyette hands it off. Quebec running back taking that one up the middle and brought down. Braille McDonald-Robchan in on the tackle for Team Alberta. I mean, I'm not wrong, Dave. We're not treated this nicely with the replay angles and the fancy graphics.
Okay, with the replays. Okay,
yeah, with the replays and the fancy graphics, and it's very nice to be able to see what's going on.
Second down, Team.
Yep, you're right.
Take the closer look. Nice tight end shot.
Deuxième essai, équipe Québec.
Quebec under center one more time. Ball snap, dropping back into the pocket. It's Goyette throwing it towards the far side. Marisol Chantois on the reception. Brought down near the 30. It's going to bring up third down for Quebec.
The rookie from Gatineau. Like you said, on the other side of the Ottawa Valley, Ottawa River.
So on that play, gain of about 3 yards, but not enough to get that first down. So third down, Team Quebec. Troisième essai, équipe Québec.
Run up the middle, QB keeper for Team Quebec. They do have enough for a first down. That keeps the drive alive with 2:11 to go in the fourth quarter.
They are making progress for sure, half over half, but it's the same issues that they're stuck in third and short. Yes, they've been successful almost every time. They have had a couple of turnovers on downs, but the fact that it's needing to go to third down in the first place shows you how well Alberta's been able to adjust to what Quebec did so well on Sunday, and Alberta's been able to take it away.
Let's go ahead in the backfield, lining up in the shotgun. Scrambling towards the near side. Under pressure, 3 Alberta defenders trying to hunt her down, and pardon me, that's Dolal that's in at Q for Quebec. Finally brought down after gaining a couple of yards. A little slow to get up. Second down for Quebec.
Again, her ability to adjust. She basically knew there were 3 players surrounding her and just like, okay, I got to go. And found an angle and sprinted about another 6 or 7 yards.
Second down for Team Quebec.
There's one issue with having rotating quarterbacks so frequently is we're not entirely sure who's in. I think they do have different helmets, but it's not necessarily the easiest to see from a vantage point all the time. And of course, numbers are small at this distance.
Well, it's unlike the hockey players who all seem to have ponytails, and you can never read their numbers.
Deep throw from Goyette as she returns to quarterback, narrowly finding Odege. That falls incomplete.
Yeah, they have ponytails on the upper half, and then they tuck in their bottom halves. Sometimes you have to rely on the sleeve numbers to even be able to tell who they are.
And not to mention the crumpled up jerseys in the back also make it a little difficult to see the numbers sometimes. Fonts also don't help. I'm just being a broadcaster and complaining about every little detail on jersey.
Hey, I'm grateful, man.
I've seen worse. I will say that I have seen a lot worse. As Goyette under pressure, breaking the tackle, scrambling towards the left, cutting back inside, ball dropped, still loose. Everybody gave up on the play, but there was no whistle. Quebec does jump on it. It's going to be a turnover on downs. First down for Alberta at the 20.
Again, at this point, you don't want to risk injury by doing anything silly. The win is the win, no matter how many points you win by. So
it looks like after the ball was dropped here that everyone just thought the play had ended. I think some of the players just didn't have any idea where the ball was, and it just sat there. Alberta will try to kill the clock now. 1:13 to go in the fourth quarter. Up 24-7.
So we know the player in the middle is ineligible at the line.
Olivia Trudeau takes the snap, scrambling right towards her left-hand side, makes the first down, picks up about another 10 more after the fact. It's a first down for Team Alberta. Now look at the clock roll.
The fewest footsteps between the
final. Yeah, both teams were watchers of this tournament. Monday, two watchers is Trudeau brought in the Quebec defense. The official rule in Football Canada was whoever wears their whites has to not wear their whites on Saturday. As it stands, Ontario now has to scramble to find new jerseys to wear before Saturday.
And we'll get those numbers and make sure we have them accurate for Game 3 on Saturday afternoon.
So for any of our viewers at home, if Quebec or Ontario is wearing a different color jersey, that will be why.
And if the player you're cheering for and care about the most is wearing a different number, that will be why as well, and we'll let you know exactly who's wearing what numbers for Ontario when we get there on Sunday for the championship match. The other two games will sort out sooner than later. The committee members will figure that out. Again, it's Trudeau behind the line of scrimmage. Shotgunning, stepping a few yards back. Can't make the connection, unfortunately. Litzenberger drops the ball, and you can see the frustration on her face.
Usually Litzenberger has more sure hands than that instance, and falling incomplete. I ran away for a moment to get our MVP awards. Any guesses, Dave?
Well, you know what? Everybody's sort of been standing out, or even like there hasn't been like that Potter from Ontario. So I had 3 players in mind for Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and they went completely different ways. So
I've noticed that a lot too. As Alberta kicks away and Rondeau fields it, and big return. There is a flag down on the play. She's forced to bounce around the 35. But I've definitely noticed that a lot too, whereas it's, oh yeah, I think this player might get POG, and then it's like, oh, it's this player. I mean, they're all deserving.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So our football committee, selection committee sees something that we don't, and
well, they're looking for different things, so you can understand it for sure. It'll be definitely no yards, probably the 15-yard variety, since it was a open catch in the open field.
No yards. Alberta number 20. That penalty's declined. First down, Quebec.
They'll take the return that was more than 15, and again, if Alberta's had any flaws today, it's on returns defensively.
Penalty has been declined. It'll be a first down.
And that penalty was declined from Quebec as the return yards were greater than the penalty yards, so do not blame them as they need score. So why make the field longer than if you have to? Run up the middle for the quarterback on the QB keeper. There's number 18, Hélène Dallaire.
Madison Harrison collects the tackle.
For about a gain of 4 yards.
The two linemen were prepared for anything the safeties had to come up with, but Harrison, along with Grattan, had the side angle. Cutting back and forth, left and right. Terrific job.
Couldn't seem to be stopped there for a bit.
Zalal, once again, the ball carrier for Quebec. There is a couple of flags down on the play.
15 yards, however.
Yeah, she had 70 all-around yards on Sunday. I'm sure she's close to that, if not surpassed it here today.
Blindside block call against Team Quebec. And a holding call against Quebec. So we're either going to be going back. 4 seconds to go here in the fourth quarter. Of course, we will be doing our MVP award presentations after the game.
There are two play both by Quebec. Holding, number 88. Unnecessary roughness. Blindside block, number 89. 25 yards worth of penalties will be applied from the previous line of scrimmage. It'll be second down repeated.
So we're talking about the discipline of both these teams in the first half. And there's 25 yards in penalty yards tacked on to Quebec at the end during that play. It is second and a country mile, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's a question of self-discipline and
4 seconds to go.
Being a professional out there.
High snap. Quarterback back in the backfield as Dallaire scrambling, running, calling her own number. Brought down.
And how little have we seen inside that center circle all day long.
Ella McIntosh, the final tackle of the game, and that'll do it. Final score, Alberta 24, Quebec 7. And we have a rematch of last year's gold medal final and Saturday's feature match. Sunday's feature match. It'll be Team Alberta versus Team Ontario in the 2025 gold medal game at 4 o'clock Mountain Time. 6 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be a good one.
Well, yeah, now that Alberta's sort of built the momentum and had a chance to regroup, fix their mistakes, see the application of their fixed mistakes against a very tough team, they'll come out with a fresh perspective against Ontario. Ontario didn't have it easy against Saskatchewan earlier today, despite getting 40-plus points. And I'm sure both teams will be watching the film of the other teams very, very carefully over the next 72 hours.
Well, not only did you watch the film of the other teams for the last 72 hours, you watched film so extremely hard in that first game to see what went right, what did not go wrong, and what you need to fix, because you did play that team already.
Absolutely true, yeah.
And there's not really enough time in the tournament to really put in a whole lot of new plays, and maybe you can put in 1 or 2. But you only really have 2 days to practice.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to know that the other team is anticipating the playbook that you have, but you're anticipating the one that they have as well, so it evens itself out.
Of course, we will be doing our Player of the Game presentations. Awards presented by Hilberg and Burke and NFL Canada. They have been selected by our fantastic tournament selection committee.
Just a reminder to all who are in attendance, you can meet up with today's participants following the awards. Please do not attempt to go on the field or enter the locker room area at any time. Thank you. Nous vous rappelons à tous ceux ici présents que vous pourrez rencontrer les participants d'aujourd'hui après la remise des prix. Nous vous prions de ne pas aller sur le terrain ou d'entrer dans les vestiaires à quelque moment que ce soit. Now, fans, if you could turn your attention towards the midfield for today's Player of the Game Awards presented by Hilberg and Burke and NFL Canada, which includes the most valuable offensive and defensive players for both teams. Maintenant, chers partisans, si vous pouviez porter votre attention vers le milieu du terrain pour la remise des prix de joueuses du match présenté par Hilberg et Burke et NFL Canada, qui comprennent les joueuses offensives et défensives les plus utiles pour les deux équipes. Les prix ont été sélectionnés par le comité de sélection nationale féminine 2025 et seront présentés par. The awards have been selected by the 2025 Women's Selection Committee, and presenting the awards is Brian Bradford, President of Football Alberta. And Trishawn Abrahams from Tourism Canada. La gagnante du prix de la joueuse défensive, la plus utile du jeu pour l'équipe Québec. The winner of the most valuable defensive player of the game award for Team Quebec.
Our awards presented by Brian Bradford, the president of Football Alberta, as well as Trishawn Abrahams from Tourism Calgary. Player of the game from Quebec, their defensive player of the game, number 33, Olivia Beaudry. David, what do you think about her game?
Oh, she was all over the place all night long. Yeah, well deserving for sure. And she never stopped playing. She never gave up on anything. Yeah, very well deserved.
Player of the game for the offense for Team Quebec, number 17, Doriana Odege. Not really sure there's much surprise there either.
Again, you rely on certain players and you don't let them get down on themselves if they have a couple of early issues. She scored, Dallaire scored the touchdown, but Odege kept going and never stopped. So that's good on her, and again, they'll rely on her more and more with every game that continues. No doubt about that. I mean, she's earned it in practice, just like they say, and if you want the number of targets that she gets, you got to be better than her in practice.
Player of the game for Alberta for their defense was number 97, Eric Kampula. Thoughts on Erica Kampula's game?
Again, the lady from Cold Lake never stopped working hard and didn't care what the score was. Big smile on her face.
Of course, I also want to give a really big shout out to Tourism Calgary. They had a nice welcome package for all of our players who arrived at the tournament, waiting for them at the University of Calgary. Of course, they're staying in the dorms, not too terribly far from Cholet, a little bit convenient in that sense. And now for our final award, our offensive player of the game for Team Alberta, number 12, Dot Trudeau.
Is number 12, Dot Trudeau.
Yeah, she's listed as the center, but was pretty much all over the field doing everything tonight, including snapping the ball a few times as well. So it doesn't always have to be the flashiest player with the biggest stats that gets the rewards. And again, big smile for Dot. And both Trudeaus did a great job tonight. So well done to Alberta. They made the correct adjustments and were able to contain what Quebec did to earn 54 points and took it all away.
And with that will do it for day 2 of this tournament. Stay tuned to all social medias, Football Alberta, Football Canada, and the Female Football U18 Tournament, National one. I'm not sure what the exact handle is off the top of my head. For the schedule update, you can also find that on Football Canada's website under the U18 Nationals Championship for our games and when they will be played, especially for Team Quebec and 4 of other teams. We do know that Alberta will be playing Ontario in the gold medal game at 4 o'clock. Once again, final score, Alberta 24, Quebec 7. Alongside me, Dave Stanish, and I'm Cole Fortner. And that will do it for day number 2.